What makes a good driver's car? Is it horsepower? Is it speed? While EVs and hybrids have made both of those rather easy, I argue it is all about driver engagement. And how do you make an engaging sports car? Well, you give it a manual transmission. But here's the thing, modern day technology has made automatic transmissions so much faster. That's the reason most OEMs use to give their top tier, most track-focused performance cars automatic transmissions only. But Nissan has listened to every single internet commenter saying the NISMO Z needs a manual transmission, and they actually did it. They put a 6-speed manual in the 2027 NISMO Z. Now, this is going to be slower than the automatic, but unless you live on a racetrack or you're a race car driver, does that really matter? This is going to be such a more fun, engaging, emotional experience, and I think that's what sports cars like this are about. So today we are at Sonoma Raceway, getting to sample the new 2027 NISMO Z, which is now available with a 6-speed manual transmission. So let's go see what it's like. In terms of the powertrain, we have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 under the hood, the VR30. In the regular non-NISMO version of the Z, it makes 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. For the NISMO version, it's been tuned up just slightly to 420 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque, thanks to some revisions to the turbos, a bit more boost, and some ignition timing changes. Now, as a NISMO version, it doesn't make a ton more power. It's more about the overall track-focused experience, so we do have better cooling. And in terms of the transmission, it's not just the regular manual transmission from the Z dropped into the NISMO version. There are some revisions. It's got a shorter throw shifter, an upgraded clutch to handle more track usage, and the slight increase in power. There's also some changes to the brakes we'll get to in a moment. Of course, rear-wheel drive only, now available with both an automatic transmission and a manual. Let's take an up-close look at the NISMO Z before we hit the track. So visually speaking, they haven't revised the NISMO version. The regular Z has been given an update for the 2027 model year, so the front end is different now. There's a new green, which does look pretty spectacular. There are a couple of little things you can note though. We do get a Z badge on the front bumper. So instead of the Nissan logo, you get the Z badge across the entire lineup. And then we still have the NISMO accents here. The front end is unique from the base Z with the red accents, which does mean you get more limited exterior colors. You couldn't do green with the red accents because it would look like Christmas. Instead, you get this battleship stealth gray here. You get white, black, and red. There are more different colors available for the non-NISMO version. Now, another big change for the 2027 NISMO version are the brakes. They have upgraded to 2-piece drilled brake rotors that are GT-R derived, inspired by the R35 GT-R, and it saves nearly 20 pounds of unsprung weight. You combine that with the raised forged wheels, which are already lighter for the NISMO version. That's a pretty substantial and noticeable drop in unsprung weight. It really does help in terms of your handling, your steering, all of the reactions you want on a more track-focused model. You can also visually see those big red calipers, really subtle detail. That red is actually supposed to be a little bit brighter than the other red accent color before you get the upgraded brakes, right? So that's one way you can tell this is a updated 2027 NISMO Z, unless you're looking inside seeing the manual transmission. So it's the brake caliper color, the Z logo up front. We already have much more cooling, the different front end for the NISMO version. And I also want to emphasize, Nissan did not make this just a sticker pack. It's not just, oh, let's just throw a couple accents on it and make it a NISMO version. It is track certified. They went to Buttonwillow, another track here in California, and ran this thing in 95-degree weather for 30-minute stints just to ensure everything, the cooling, the overall vehicle could handle it, which is again why we're at Sonoma Raceway to test this thing out. Got another Z badge back here. Frankly, I always thought it was kind of funny how massive the fuel door is on the Nissan Zs. And then coming around back, I love the 3D look taillights. Gives it this like floating depth effect. And you get another NISMO badge back here, the dual exhaust pipes, and then the red accenting. The aero package is a bit more aggressive, nothing over the top. So you get a more aggressive rear wing back here, and then some side skirts, and then up front, little canard dive plane shapes here. But overall, it's definitely the wheels, the tires, the brakes that you notice, and the red accents for the updates. Now, quick peek at the inside, which largely stays the same. For the regular Z, there is a new tan interior combination, which will look really nice over that new green. We've got the red accents here with the Recaro bucket seats, the NISMO badge there on the headrest, and then, yeah, manual transmission, a 6-speed with 3 pedals down there. They actually listen. So the nonstop internet comments, and of course all of us on YouTube and car reviewers saying this needs to have a manual transmission, it actually worked. An OEM listened to us and they put the manual back in. And it makes sense because they offered the regular Z with a manual. Previous versions of the NISMO Z came with a manual. Why can't we have it again, right? So that is really exciting. You get the red accent right there, the anodized red buttons in the middle of the drive modes, has rev matching, which you can turn on and off. They also have slightly revised the wireless phone charger that has a little magnetic puck that'll hold your phone in place, which is good when you're cornering at higher G-forces, but also can help with cooling to make sure your phone doesn't overheat when you're wireless charging. But the rest of the stuff is going to be very, very familiar with the Nissan Z carryover. This one has a NISMO, of course, just has a couple of little sportier touches. Gotten to learn the track a little bit better, so let's try to take some turns, feel out this car, and try to sound somewhat intelligent. Usually once I start trying to, narrate the dialogue, my racing line completely goes out the window, so let's see how it goes. But most importantly, see how this thing feels. I've got the rev match on. We'll go ahead and toggle into sport. Get out on track, get some temperature into these tires, and start going. Immediately, you notice the turn-in. That's the first thing, the steering. Getting back up to speed. Uphill. This is such an epic track. Can't believe it's taking me this long to ever get out to Sonoma Raceway. Downhill braking. I've got a lead car in front of me, but instructor is cooking it. He is giving me space to run. Let me get comfortable first. Honestly, this thing has so much torque, you can just kind of leave it in 4th gear and let it do its thing. We got this carousel here looking left, drift a little bit inward, and then track out. Oh, the track has dried substantially compared to earlier today when it was much colder and wetter. Oh man, yeah, the brakes just feel so much stronger, so much more confidence immediately compared to the regular performance version. The Akabono brakes here, they're drilled now. Not only did it look sportier when you have drilled rotors, but slight weight reduction. I don't think they're the exact GT-R brakes, they're GT-R derived, that's what they say, from the R35 GT-R, but it's that cooling and the unsprung mass. There was so much lost rotational mass between the brakes, the wheels, that they were able to retune the steering to take advantage of that. So that is an actual legitimate change for the 2027 Z. Let's go just down into 3rd. Oh man, the track definitely is really drying out. Still a couple little puddles. Shorter throw shifter, upgraded clutch. This is such a fun track, although the walls are close. There's lots of elevation. Woohoo! Yeah, this car is this feels more at home on the track. The damping has also been revised compared to a regular Z Performance for better balance. But it's everything coming together, the steering, the brake, suspension. Now, to be fully honest and fair, I'm in 4th gear most of the time here. So if I was in an automatic car, it's not like I'm rolling through the gears here on the track. So for true track work, are you fully taking advantage of the feel and everything? Not necessarily, but a lot of times when you buy one of these cars, you're not living on the racetrack, you're using it. You're going on fun canyon drives, weekend drives, maybe taking it out for date night. That's where having a manual transmission brings some fun, some engagement. But then when you do go to your track day, you can fully try it out, explore the limits. Shifter feels a little bit notchier than the regular one, but just overall, I really like this power level, this size car, the weight. You can just get comfortable with it. Oh my, I completely missed that apex right there. That's the problem. When I start trying to talk, it goes out the window. All right, I'm gonna focus on some driving for a lap or two, less of the talking. Let's go. Curbing there, back into the power. Feeling that balance is very, very nice. You just get comfortable in this. Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. And the brakes coming in here, very, very solid. Lots of confidence there. Through the S's here. Down into third. Woohoo, this is such a fun track. Whew. All right, cool down lap. Yeah, all right, that's a big difference. On another kind of track, maybe I'll be using third gear more, not second gear here, I think at Sonoma. But the couple times, I mean, it felt great. Shorter throw, upgraded clutch. I don't know if doing what I was doing right now, I would say I felt a huge difference in clutch feel compared to the regular Z Performance, but you do know in your mind they have upgraded the clutch. Now, really, to get a proper test, I would have to spend a week living with this thing in the real world, you know, driving it day to day in traffic to get a feeling of it. But I can already tell, a reminder of being in the NISMO version, that this is the fun one. It just feels better, right? I'm not a race car driver. I am not getting to the limits. The instructor in front of me is in a regular base Z Performance, non-NISMO, with a passenger, and he could run circles around me. But it's the feeling of confidence you get as a better driver, and as you advance, you would have a higher ceiling. And even at my level, right, feeling it around, trying to talk intelligently while driving the car on the track, you just are much more comfortable. The car feels more planted, more secure. The brakes give you much more confidence. The response is a bit sharper. It's not like it's making orders of magnitude more power. It's not like you plant your foot and you're like, whoa, my gosh, it's so much more power. It's only 20 more horsepower, an extra 34 pound-feet of torque, but this VR30 puts out so much torque down low as a twin-turbo V6, and the ingredients all come together to really make this a fun, tossable, trackable sports car. I like the ingredients of this thing quite a lot. And it's a huge step up from the regular Z. I wouldn't consider a regular Z Performance, especially after driving one of these things, but that was a lot of fun. Quick couple laps here at Sonoma Raceway, and let's go wrap up some final thoughts on this thing. Let's talk about how this stacks up compared to some competitors. In my mind, the first things I think of are going to be the BMW M2, the G87, and the Mustang Dark Horse, but they're all a slightly different formula. You can get them with a manual transmission, they're rear-wheel drive, although M2 is supposed to come out with X-Drive soon, but the Mustang, for example, is a naturally aspirated V8 with the Dark Horse, rear-wheel drive. This is a twin-turbo V6, rear-wheel drive. The F80 or the G87 M2 is a twin-turbo inline-6, rear-wheel drive. Now, the Mustang and the M2 do make substantially more power, and you can feel it. But there's something about the Z power level and chassis setup that I get more comfortable in. I got pretty comfortable on track and the confidence letting you push it. The M2 can be a bit of a handful. The Mustang Dark Horse I've never actually tracked before, so can't say much on that one specifically from personal knowledge, but it's a very different formula for all three options, although they are kind of close to a similar price point. So it does come down to preference, and it's cool that we have options to pick between, although the options are dwindling because the Toyota Supra is gone, even though the Supra never was truly a pure Toyota product, right? It was a collaboration with BMW, so if you want to talk about heritage, technically the Z has stuck most to its roots. So final thoughts on the 2027 Nissan Z NISMO, where the biggest piece of news is the manual transmission. This is honestly how it should have come from the factory, but I'm not going to complain because they listen to consumers, to buyers, the internet in general, and actually put a manual transmission into the NISMO version. Is it faster than the automatic? No, but again, driver engagement. Think about how many manual transmission rear-wheel drive two-doors you can still buy today. The regular Z Performance is definitely fun, but when you step up to the NISMO, immediately you have so much more confidence in the brakes, the tires, the suspension, the damping, the balance, all of that adds up, and it does make a noticeable difference. Now, the one shame downside is here on the track, I was pretty much just in fourth gear the entire time. So we're not driving this on the road, on some nice curvy back roads, just day to day, using it in the real world where you really get to go through the gears, feel that clutch, feel the short throw shifter. So I didn't get to try that out, but extrapolating what I know from driving the regular Z and then trying this one out on track, I feel like this is a really, really good combination and lots of really fun ingredients. Just to recap some of the improvements, I mean, that braking was noticeable. Going into, I forget the turn number, this is my first time at Sonoma, but coming down the main big braking zone, I was feeling so much more confident in this. I saw 112, I think, before hitting the brakes, which is substantially higher than what I was comfortable doing in the regular Z, and the brakes just felt so much stronger. Now, first time ever here on the track, cold, damp day, summer performance tire, so we weren't pushing anything crazy whatsoever, but just the amount of confidence I had in placing the car, the steering feel, the initial turn-in, definitely is a huge step up. What else? The power, it's not like going from the NISMO to from regular to the NISMO, it's not like you notice so much more power and torque. That's really not the formula here. It's honestly a very mild increase in power. And I was just third gear, fourth gear most of the time, plant your foot, and the torque from that twin turbo V6 just pulls you out of the turns. It's the overall balance which gives you more confidence, which then lets you push it a little bit harder, tires get temperature in there, and you're going and going and going. Today's a cool day, so we weren't stressing the cooling system, but you do know in the back of your head this does have improved cooling. The brakes and wheels together, lowering unsprung weight is a big deal because it allows them to retune the steering, which everything gets better when you have less weight, especially rotating mass. What else for the NISMO Z manual 2027? I mean, visually, interior speaking, not huge changes. I like where they spent their money, right? Making sure the manual fits in well, making some noticeable improvements, and it's not, again, the same manual from the regular Z Performance just dropped in here. I think this actually might be my only chance to drive a manual Nissan Z NISMO. They said these are going to be pretty limited, and it may not be hitting the regular press fleet, so I probably won't get a chance to spend a week living with it, but I'm really, really happy I got to come out here to Sonoma Raceway. First time ever here. What a fantastic, epic track. There is no point in time where you kind of sit back, relax, catch your breath, because there's like turns and turns and turns. Sometimes you go to like Road America, right? The big straights, you can kind of chill, settle for a second. Here, you're on the entire time. Elevation, blind turns. This is a really, really fun track, and it was a cool car to try it out for the first time doing some lead follow. I definitely hope I can come back to Sonoma Raceway. Let's see, any other thoughts about the Nissan Z NISMO? It really does make this quite appealing. I like the new Z when it first came out, but when I drove the base car, the Performance, I was like, nah, it just felt a little too soft. It was a fun all-around sports car, but I wanted a little bit more precision, and the Nismo brought that. Everything got sharper. It handles a bit better. The body control feels better. The damping feels better, but it was automatic only. I'm like, well, when I'm shopping for cars like this, I kind of feel like I want more of the manual transmission because it's that nice power level. My Z06, for example, I have a C8 Z06. It's 670 horsepower. I'm happy with that dual clutch transmission because it is just so much power so fast. Once you get into the supercar territory, yeah, sometimes automatics can be better. Let's get rid of that variable. But when you're in a more driver-focused, engaging, more nimble little like sports car like this, I'm thinking this, an M2, the Mustangs, things like that, I like having a manual transmission. I know in my head, yeah, okay, it's slower, but I'm doing the work. I'm rowing the gears. I'm feeling the clutch. I am in control. And in my mind, as somebody who's not a race car driver, I can admit that very fully, I would rather have the engaging fun and get closer to the limits in a car like this and just learn it. And then you leave the track and you're driving home and you're having fun. Going from 0 to 45 off a traffic light, you get to do something, and it just feels a little bit more fun and engaging. It's the analog feeling, and manual transmissions will never go out of style, right? They'll last the test of time. A 6-speed manual is always going to be a fun 6-speed manual, so I'm really happy they put it into the Nismo Z. So now it's our job to put our money where our mouth is. Everybody who commented, oh, it should have a manual transmission, you have to go out and buy one now, because when the OEMs actually listen to people and they do the work, the engineering work, the development, the testing, and put manual transmissions, 3 pedals in these cars, and they don't sell any of them, then they're not going to do it, right? They're a business, right? So if we say, oh my gosh, it should have a manual transmission, and then they do it, and then nobody buys one, and everybody's buying the automatic, they're like, well, what's the point? Why are we doing all of this work? So I'm really interested to see the take rate here with the manual transmission Nismo Z. I have no idea what it is for the regular Z. I should ask and look that up. But this is definitely the formula I would go for if I were shopping for a Nissan Z. We don't know official pricing yet, but I'm going to guess it's pretty close to the previous Gen 1. The regular Z has been given some updates too. I may get some time one of those, so we'll hopefully get to spend some time living with the 2027Z with the new front end, some tweaks to the inside, the new wireless charging pad that still has the manual transmission. But the big updates here are for the Nismo one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, getting a quick experience in the 6-speed manual Nissan Z Nismo. Thanks for watching.